Hey, and welcome back to the Rick and Dafs podcast. I'm Dafs.
And I'm Rick.
And as always, we are here unscripted and raw.
That's right, Dafs. And we're back.
We are with some new equipment.
That's true. And this week we're going to talk about the Willy Wonka Power Index.
WWPI.
I like that acronym. The WWPI. So essentially what this is if you'll remember, Dafs, we did a Christmas special in which we pitted Willy Wonka against Santa Claus for the fate of humanity. And we decided that Willy Wonka was defeated, but just narrowly, basically at the cost of Santa Claus's life.
Super close.
Yeah, it was like a 51-49 type of proposition. So what we've done then, we've been thinking about this. If Willy Wonka, I feel like, is actually a really good indicator as to whether a superhero is really a superhero or they just have superpowers, if that makes sense. So in my mind, there's like a line. It's like the 70% passing grade in school. If you're above a 70%, then you pass.
Yeah.
Below that, nope, you're going back. Or 60% or whatever it is.
Something like that.
Something like that. So Willy Wonka on this scale, would he be a 7 or a 6?
He'd be like a 7.
He'd be a 7. So to be a superhero, you have to be able to take down Willy Wonka.
Yeah.
Like Batman could take down Willy Wonka.
Yeah.
Iron Man, the Hulk, Superman, Martian Manhunter. I don't think there's really anybody of like the big guys that couldn't easily take down Willy Wonka. I mean, sure, maybe give him a little bit of trouble, but do you have any doubt?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, there's some fringe characters like Hawkeye and things like that where you're like, yeah, okay, you're useful in a pinch, but you're not Iron Man.
Well, no, he's not Iron Man, but you still feel like he could probably take down Willy Wonka, don't you?
Yeah, probably.
So if we're going to start amassing our Willy Wonka Power Index and filling it with new superheroes, we need some superheroes to start with. And I feel like there's no better place to start than from our opener of this episode of this season, where we talked about the worst superheroes / supervillains, some of them. And so we're going to go back to Squirrel Girl, Matter Eater Lad, Almighty Dollar, Arm Fall Off Boy, and of course, our personal favorite, Codpiece. So, the WWPI. First inaugural. We'll add to this list, I think, as time goes on.
Yeah.
But who do you want to start with?
Let's start off with the easiest, and that is Arm Fall Off Boy.
Okay, so Arm Fall Off Boy.
Not a chance. His only power is that his arms fall off.
Well, he could attack Willy with the arm.
I guess. He can use his arm like a club. But Willy Wonka's pretty evil, has lots of minions, and literally a riverboat in the middle of a factory that has psychedelic nature.
That's a fair point. I think basically if he's even able to get in, then the Oompas like rip off his arms and then just start beating him to death with his own arm.
I pretty much imagine that his arm gets stuck in the revolving entrance door, and then he's down there. One arm, and then it just goes south from there.
Well, his best hope is to infiltrate it somehow by like the government issued golden ticket. But I mean, I was gonna suggest maybe he could like stick his arm in something when the health department was coming through, but we all know that that's not going to do any good because he already put shoes and blankets and whatever else into the stuff, and like nothing even happens. A boy fell into the lake and the tour didn't even stop, so I mean, he's really got no shot.
I was going to say, like, get a job there and then your arm falls off in the batter, then you can an OSHA violation and maybe a workers' comp suit, take him down with small monthly payments. But chances are he's just gonna
you just bleed him dry from the inside. His only hope is to get a job there and then just do a terrible job for the rest of his life. It's like try and bring the plant down from the inside.
If you lose your arm in a vat of chocolate or batter, you know what's gonna happen? Willy Wonka's gonna make a quick pun about, this chocolate sure packs a punch. And then he'll walk by as you spend the rest of your days wishing you had your left arm.
Or say something about like, hopefully this candy doesn't cost me an arm and a leg. Then he rips off your leg and throws it in.
Those aren't detachable. They are now.
Damn it, Willy. Yeah, you're right. He falls well below the Willy Wonka line.
Yeah, I'd rate him at like a 3.
I don't even know, like, I think when we discuss this, like, it's not even useful in everyday life to have your arm fall off.
No.
So, like, if you and I are ones, and, like, Michael Jordan or LeBron James is, like, what, a 2? I think he falls somewhere in between us and, like, a LeBron James.
1.5.
Yeah, he's slightly more powerful than us. But LeBron James could easily kill him.
That's pretty much anyone.
Well, but see that, but I don't know if he could. LeBron James couldn't easily kill Codpiece.
No.
Say what you want about Codpiece, but he's above LeBron James.
Yeah.
Because of just his sheer tools that he's got.
Yeah.
But I mean, so Matter Eater Lad, you fall well below the Willy Wonka line.
No, that's
or no, not
arm
sorry.
Fall off boy.
Arm fall off boy.
Matter Eater Lad is our next one up on the docket.
Yeah, I'm sorry I jumped ahead there. But yes, Arm Fall Off Boy, you are below the Willy Wonka line for the Willy Wonka Power Index.
No.
Interesting, though. Who do you think rates the highest on the Willy Wonka Power Index? Like, who most easily defeats...
Of those 5?
No, I mean, of, like, just everyday superheroes that we think of.
I would probably say Vision, because his power is almost near endless. It's essentially an infinity stone that's
true.
He has, or maybe like Superman.
Yeah, I was gonna say like of the ones, like if you don't count mutants, probably Superman or like Iron Man, because they just blow the whole place up without ever having seen Willy. They're just like, this guy's evil, I'm going to destroy his factory, and then they just blow it up.
To be fair, from that same point of view, James Bond would be a superhero, because he would just call it like a Predator drone strike.
I feel like he would actually have a lot harder time with Willy than you think, because I think that the British government would have been like corrupted by Willy.
Oh yeah, for sure.
He'd have to go rogue to infiltrate Willy Wonka's factory. That is an interesting episode in and of itself.
Yeah.
But, you know, if we think that Batman versus like Bond is good, then you'd have to give Willy Wonka, he would lose to James Bond.
Yeah, he would definitely lose.
But yes, I agree with you. Yeah, I think probably would be like Superman, Iron Man would be your top. Hulk for sure would be your top points on the Willy Wonka Power Index.
So the Willy Wonka Power Index doesn't necessarily have to be you're just superheroes. More like people who have very special abilities, which can also come down to like resources or things like that.
It's a very interesting index, actually, because like technically the U.S. military would rank highly on the Willy Wonka Power Index.
Yes, it would. The giant Stay Puft Marshmallow Man from Ghostbusters 2
would also rate very highly.
Pretty well.
Although you actually kind of wonder about that, because he is made of candy, which is Willy Wonka's specialty, so he may have some way of dissolving him.
I imagine he would have some kind of like glass elevator attachment that puts hot chocolate all over him and then melts him slowly.
Yeah, I agree. So that's a whole nother episode right there.
Yeah.
We got super distracted, which I love. But back to it, Matter Eater Lad. Mm-hmm. Matter Eater Lad, I think, is an interesting case on the Willy Wonka Power Index because he can eat anything and he can digest anything. So
even lava.
That indicates that it won't hurt him, even like psychedelic drugs that give you crazy visions.
But what I'm wondering is that Matter Eater Lad does have to get nutrition from somewhere, right?
Well, he seems to get nutrition from anything.
So the question then is would anything that he put in there have any effect on him at all?
I don't think it... I mean, you'd have to think not. Like, if he can eat lava and he can eat anything that doesn't hurt him, then you'd think that his body would also filter out any poisons or effects that would normally get you or I. So I feel like that is the one thing that he's got going for him. The thing that he doesn't have going for him is that in every other way, he's just a regular person. So I'm not even sure he could get into the factory. Well, actually, I take that back. He could just start eating a hole into the wall. But then once the Oompas tackle him and tie him down, then he's just done for.
What I'm curious is when a unmovable object meets an unstoppable force. Yes, that's a reference to WrestleMania.
It's also backwards.
Yes. What would happen if Matter Eater Lad came up against the unstoppable Gobstopper?
Ooh.
Because those things never end.
You're saying that
they're unlimited.
Willy Wonka's culinary power versus...
Could he honestly eat it? He can digest anything, including lava. But even lava breaks down, and the Gobstoppers never do.
So
you said one lasts you a lifetime.
So you're saying he eats his way in, they tackle him, and then they just start giving him everlasting Gobstoppers until, like, his stomach explodes?
Or something. I mean, because you can shoot bullets at this guy, and he just eats the bullets out of the air, and he's fine.
Well, but unless you shoot him in the legs. See, I
never really understood that, yeah. Why would you aim for his mouth? Why wouldn't you aim for his knees?
I don't know.
But the Gobstoppers...
Or the attic of his mouth, his brain.
But if they shoot him with Gobstoppers, and those do fill him up, and those aren't destructible at all, he would be in a lot of trouble. That would take his one power away from him.
Yeah, I feel like he's got too many weaknesses to be able to neutralize Willy. Like, he'd be able to get in. Maybe as, like, part of a team, he would be helpful because he'd be able to eat his way into the factory, which, as we've seen, is one of the harder things to do, is to get into the factory. Because you got to figure Willy has thought of all of these different things, and his factory is super secure. Yeah. I
feel like putting him at, like, a 2.75. He's definitely better than LeBron, but he's not like worlds beyond LeBron in usefulness.
I think he's at least a 3 or a 4.
Really?
He's got to be at least a 3.
Okay, fine, a 3.
If we get into these decimal points, it's just going to be really terrible.
2.66 repeating.
Yeah, I mean, because LeBron James punches him, but then he bites LeBron and eats his arm, and then that's the end of it.
Yeah.
You and I, like, if we were just going to rank everyday people, then we'd be on an LBJ index. LeBron James index.
I was like, Lyndon B. Johnson? Wasn't he in a wheelchair?
No.
It's FDR.
Jeez. You're getting all your...
all my presidents.
All your president abbreviations confused. JFK, wasn't he the one that shot John Wilkes Booth? What? Anyways.
So he probably would fail, but he would fare better than...
Oh, he would definitely
arm fall off boy.
He would whose only hope is to break into to get a job there and try and undermine the factory from the inside. Even if Matter Eater Lad got a job there, he just basically his only hope would be to eat all the product so that he had nothing to sell. But then he'd quickly be fired.
Yeah, they'd be like, "You ate 80,000 crates off the line."
Actually, what would happen to him, and this is very tragic, and then we'll move on, is that he would get captured by Willy and then be, like, used as a never-ending taste tester. Because if he could digest anything, then he could just, like, taste every candy, and he'd never, like, get sick.
Yeah, but, I mean, wouldn't that kind of also be great for him, too?
I guess.
Who's to say he would hate that?
Well,
he'd be like, oh, this is great.
Yeah, except for you're captured and you have no freedom.
I mean,
and if you
he could totally escape.
If you piss off your boss, he gives you an everlasting gobstopper and your stomach explodes.
Well, yeah, I guess. But you could always, like, chew through your chains and chew a hole in the wall and then walk away.
You hope so. I'm guessing they'd have him, like, in a chair at all times, like, where he couldn't move his neck.
They have him in one of those, like, Magneto prisons where instead of it being all glass and no metal, the bars are made of everlasting gobstopper. Yeah. Oh, that's evil.
That's really terrible. It's just only bars made of everlasting gobstopper candy.
That's like his own kryptonite.
And it has to be chilled.
Yeah. That's like his own kryptonite. Yeah.
It's terrible. And it's just in a cell inside of another cell inside of another cell. It's terrible. This is his own version of hell.
But hey, candy.
But hey, candy. Okay. Moving on. So we rank him. He's below the Willy Wonka power line. All right. Now we're gonna do some of my favorites. Almighty Dollar. Dafs, what are your thoughts?
I don't think he's got the right stuff. I don't know.
You don't think that
he shoots pennies from his wrists?
Okay.
Why is he called Almighty Dollar and not
We've discussed this before.
The penny bandit?
He doesn't even shoot silver dollars, which would be kind of cool.
Penny Dreadful would be a way better name.
Oh man, dang it!
Right?
We need to make that character.
Yeah.
It just needs to be slightly different enough.
Yeah.
We'll make a ton of money. Anyways, but he'd have to be a villain. We have to recast him.
Oh, that's fine.
And he'd kill the Almighty Dollar. Anyways, the only hope would be that the Oompa Loompas had not seen money in a long time, and they'd be like, money, and then he could bribe them to work against Willy. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, I think that Willy Wonka's got them fairly well controlled. I don't think that just a few pennies is going to make the difference.
No, and other than, like, finding things that he can put into the chocolate, like if you can put a boot in there and it's fine and it's still edible, like I don't think putting pennies in like Laffy Taffies is really going to stop people from buying.
His only hope, he would just be like destroying things at high velocity. He'd probably kill a lot of the Oompa Loompas, like pennies in their brains, and he'd have to say like penny for your thoughts as he's like blasting up the.
But he would also be thrown in the same gobstopper prison, which would be totally useless for him. It would just be the best person you have at the moment. So
yeah.
This isn't even my weakness. And he's like, yeah, but you're not getting out, so it's fine.
But he could maybe blast out through the thing is that he actually has a projectile weapon.
Yeah.
Could he get into the factory with his projectile weapon? Could he blast through the walls?
Depends how fast pennies can go.
Well, we discussed this earlier, and I think that we, decided that a penny, if he really can shoot it at a high volume, it's like a bullet. It's pretty nasty.
Yeah, but can you shoot a hole in a wall with bullets? It takes a while. And if it's concrete,
he's just standing out there. There's a pile of pennies and he's like barely done anything. And then Willy Wonka just walks out. He's like, what are you doing? He's like, I'm breaking into your factory to stop your evil deeds.
He's like, you're doing incredible amounts of damage. Well, actually, not that much. And actually, if we just sweep the pennies up, you're paying for it. So that's fine. Carry on.
Or he just walks out with and just has the cops arrest him. I don't even think he could get into the factory.
He just puts a bucket underneath the wall so the pennies fall in a bucket, and he goes out there every once in a while and collects it and cashes it at Coinstar. I'm gonna have to repaint that wall. I
don't even think he'd get in. Yeah, again, I think he'd just be captured and then used to augment his income.
Yeah,
he'd just be making him blast pennies into his bucket for days. Yeah, he falls well below.
Yeah.
I think he scores slightly higher though than our Matter Eater lad. He's at least a 4.
Really?
I think so. Well, actually, you're right. This is the Willy Wonka Power Index, not the general Power Index.
Yeah, I think he'd also probably be a 3.
Yeah, I think
better
you're
than LeBron James. Or LeBron James probably has as much money in pennies as this guy does.
But this is not a LeBron James Power Index.
No, it's not.
Okay, so we're going to go ahead and mark him down as a solid no. Now we're getting into some people that actually have a shot. Squirrel Girl, I give a real chance.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I sent you that thing where Squirrel Girl took down Apocalypse or somebody.
Yeah, she defeated some unstoppable mutant.
Yeah. So,
and no one else could. And I was like, why?
Because she organizes the squirrels. This is what I've been trying to tell you.
She took down Thanos, I thought.
Yeah, somebody insane. I can't remember who it was, but it's canon. It's canon.
That's nuts.
Anyways, I think her squirrels could infiltrate the factory. Mm-hmm. They'd get in through the vents. They'd let her in. And then it's just... I think it's bedlam. Because I think that all of a sudden there are squirrels attacking Oompa Loompas. You don't even know what's going... They're coming out of the vents, out of the ceilings. And you haven't even seen Squirrel Girl yet.
Well, and are we assuming that the new Willy Wonka movie is canon?
No, definitely not.
Because
Gene Wilder's the only Willy Wonka in my heart.
I agree. But I'm just saying, the new Willy Wonka had trained squirrels that tested nuts for like his candy bars.
Yeah.
So there's already squirrels inside. And if she could talk to them, she'd be like, are you guys not part of a union?
Come with me, brothers.
Yeah. Let's liberate you.
That's fair. Yeah, I think she could easily infiltrate his thing.
Most definitely.
And I don't even think he would know what was happening. Mm-hmm. It's like what we talked about last week with the swarm of bees. Mm-hmm. The swarm of bees come in and they just destroy everything. And you don't even know what's happened. He doesn't even know Squirrel Girl's coming for him.
Yep.
All of a sudden, she's in there wreaking havoc on his factory.
Plus, how many squirrels do you think she could already get past the gates before
tons.
he realized there was anything wrong?
Oh, tons.
Like,
especially in the night.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's like a squirrel surveillance team that shows up initially. He's like, that's weird. That squirrel looks like has a camera.
Yeah. They form a beachhead.
Yeah.
It's Normandy all over again.
Yeah, it's fair.
So it seems pretty cut and dry. I think that she's got to be at least a 7 then, right? Because isn't Willy Wonka a 7?
Oh, she's at least a 7. Like she's on the power index, so she's above Willy Wonka.
Okay, yeah. And so then if she also has beaten Thanos.
Well, if Santa Claus can take, I mean, that's also scary because Santa Claus just should have really pulled into his bag and pulled out Squirrel Girl and sent her down.
He just sends other people to fight his battles for him.
That's what would have been smart. Mm-hmm. I don't even know why we didn't think of that. But so I am voting her to be well above the Willy Wonka index.
Okay.
What your thoughts? You agree?
I agree.
Okay. So she is on the Willy Wonka Power Index. We have our first contestant to achieve that level. I'm very happy. Okay, and last but not least, my personal favorite. Well, actually, no, Squirrel Girl's my personal favorite.
Yeah.
But my
honorable mention,
Codpiece. I think he might be able to get in with his cannon.
Yeah, the cannon and the rocket pants will definitely help.
So, just for those of you who might have forgotten who Codpiece is, he has a cannon-powered codpiece.
Yeah.
Which is a crotch-related attachment. And it's a cod piece.
And it also has like a boxing glove.
It has all sorts of tools in it.
Scissors and stuff.
And yeah, it has a cannon, some boxing gloves, scissors. I think he could basically attach anything to it.
Yeah.
I mean, if he really was ingenuitive, he maybe could attach some rockets in there and fly off.
Right.
I feel like he would blast open the doors with his cannon pants. And if he didn't have too bad testicular torsion, he'd go in and just start blasting away. But eventually the testicular torsion would catch up to him.
Eventually.
The boxing glove would definitely be useful for knocking out Oompas and the Loompas.
Yep.
I think that he doesn't really have anything that helps him see in the dark. So if Willy cuts the power, he could fall into the chocolate river. There's not really any way to get out of the chocolate river, especially if the suction gets him. I think that Willy Wonka would just get in his head with his psychological games.
Yeah, this guy's clearly not a mentally stable individual.
Yeah. As we discussed earlier, he became a codpiece supervillain because he was turned down for a date with a girl.
That's it.
That's all that it took. So he was really on the edge to begin with. I feel like the not a speck of light is showing, so the danger must be growing. Turn off the lights, psychedelic trip. I mean, I don't think he's got a shot.
He is the persona of masculinity fragility.
Yeah. He would crumble.
Yep.
He would probably eat some poison candy.
Yep. Can't handle rejection. Probably can't handle a gobstopper.
I feel like what would happen to him is that Willy Wonka would have seen him coming a mile away and would be like, "Oh, you caught me." And he'd be like down on his knees, like, "I beg for mercy." And then all of a sudden the power would go out and he'd do like the Cheshire Cat and he'd just disappear. And then all of a sudden the speakers would start playing like trippy music and like weird stuff would happen. All of a sudden Codpiece is shot with a psychedelic drug arrow. All of a sudden they're coming out with a new candy. Very exclusive. There's only 5 bars available.
Yeah. What would you name that?
I don't know.
It'd have to be a terrible pun.
It would have to be a terrible pun. I don't know. If only you had a hammer, you could call it Arm and Hammer.
Arm and Hammer.
I don't know.
Instead of Swedish fish, you could do Swedish cod.
God. That's great.
Something along those lines.
Yeah.
I'm on the spot. That's the best I could do.
Yeah. Well, I think that's better than I did, so I give you high praise for that. Wow, he falls very short on the Willy Wonka Power Index. Woefully short. Yeah. The thing I like about the Willy Wonka Power Index is you not only have to have strength, but you also probably have to have some brains about you.
And some resiliency.
Because if you are like a crafty character, he's going to be able to compete against you still. Because he can play mind games. Mm-hmm. But if you are just super powerful, he also has a lot of Oompa Loompas. He has a lot of crazy stuff in his factory. He kind of reminds me of the Mad Hatter from Batman a little bit. Mm-hmm. Like, at least in my mind. Mm-hmm. But probably a more... I don't even know.
No, I can see that.
Just like less disturbing imagery. But still disturbing in other ways.
Yeah.
So I think he's a good foe. That's why I like him. And we all know that he's got access to Vermicious Knids.
Yes. Vermicious Knids.
Which is, so Codpiece is a no. He does not fall above the Willy Wonka line.
He doesn't.
Ah, dang. That's we only have one contestant who has passed the test.
Are there any major accepted superheroes that we think would fall below the line, though?
The Willy Wonka line?
Yeah. Like ones that are like, they have their own franchises, but you're like, yeah, but come on, really?
You couldn't take them down?
No.
Trying to think. Thor, that's a definite yes.
Yeah, he'd take it.
X-Men, definite yes.
Yeah, Hulk would be fine.
Hulk would be fine. Ant-Man even.
Yeah, Ant-Man would do really well, actually.
Ant-Man would sneak into the factory easily and then all of a sudden become the size of...
super large.
And he would just...
That was a great scene.
Start blowing up the factory, ripping out the piping. There's chocolate everywhere. Willy and the Oompas drown in like a sea of chocolate.
Yeah.
I kind of like that. But... here's the one thing that you have to, like, that's a good question because Willy Wonka has a shrink ray. Mm-hmm. So perhaps he would be able to re-shrink the Ant-Man.
Once he's large.
Yeah.
And then when he went back to regular size, he'd be even smaller.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Subatomic. That's the dangerous part. He can't go down that low.
But if Ant-Man was smart, he'd get so small that he would get swallowed by him and then just become giant and just erupt out of Willy Wonka's body. Because human stomach acid is pretty weak. So I think the suit could survive.
Yeah.
But this is a good question. Ant-Man, I feel like Ant-Man would win, but you never know. He might get a run for his money he wasn't anticipating. Trying to think. I mean, like we said, like Superman, Batman, I feel like they're Wonder Woman, definitely. The Flash?
I think Flash would do okay. I wonder if Green Arrow would do okay.
I don't know enough about Green Arrow to feel like I can comment.
He's mostly just sneaky and has really good archery skills. And gadgets.
You could probably... I think he's borderline.
Yeah.
Same with Hawkeye. I think guys that don't have like inherent like a super skill that is either strength or like Batman has tons of gadgets. Mm-hmm. I don't know. But then again, Hawkeye could just blow open the doors with a bomb off of an arrow and then just start laying down a siege warfare.
That's true.
So I don't know. But I can't think of many that would fall below the line. But maybe that will be our next episode. Mm-hmm. We will do an episode which we talk about common superheroes or accepted superheroes franchises that perhaps could not that fall below the Willy Wonka line.
Or people who are not superheroes.
Who fall above the Willy Wonka.
Could be.
Well, we hint on one, Bond. Yeah. Bond could be above the Willy Wonka line.
I'm thinking Inspector Clouseau from the Pink Panther. He's so dumb and awful, but he's so lucky. He's got that Captain Kirk factor.
Ooh, Captain Kirk factor. Versus Willy Wonka is a good one.
Oh man, we could go in deep on this one. I think we need to pull out and save that for a second episode.
That's deep dives. Okay, so we're at just about 30 minutes. This is a good time to end. But what I'd like to do now is reveal the results of the poll that we took, because we did do a poll.
Oh, the thatched wig versus Man Heels.
Yeah.
Man Heels had to have swept it.
Oh, no, it wasn't even close, actually. It went the other way.
Really?
Yes, it was actually by a margin of 4-1. Powdered wigs.
Was I the one?
No, I mean the ratio was 4-1.
Oh, man.
I think we got actually a decent amount of responses. But it was by a landslide powdered wigs. I think most people just did not want to see men in high heels, / they felt like it was very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I can tell you that you and Stacy both voted for high heels.
Yes.
And I think a couple other people.
Which I was surprised because she doesn't like me being any taller than I already am. She likes being closer to my height. So me being taller and her not being taller is like her greatest fear.
Her greatest fear?
If I were to be on death's door and the only antidote to the poison was that she'd have to drink this antidote and she would shrink 4 inches and then I would gain 4 inches in height, like...
You might die.
I'd probably die. She'd be like, no, I'm not going to give up that. Like, I love you and I'd die for you, but I'm not going to be shorter than you for the rest of my life. No. You already are. No, but even worse? No, I'm sorry.
Well, on that disturbing note,
you ate the poison.
So that is 1-0. To me.
Oh, well.
I have
season 3. Rick Dafs
have the lead.
Civil War
for now.
Point Rick.
Yeah. So that's a good news for me. Perfect way to end the show. Don't forget, we're on Stitcher and Facebook.
Yep, and Podbean.
And Google Play Music.
And iTunes.
And, of course, Facebook.
Yeah.
On the Bookface.
Yep.
If you want to drop us a line there, you will eventually see another poll once we do another That's Debatable. Mm-hmm. But for now, I'm Rick.
I'm Dafs.
Have a good one.